Hi, my name is Kevin Fernandez and welcome to my channel, Gamers Genie. Today we're going to be learning how to play the desert set collecting game, 5 Tribes. This 2 to 4 player game designed by Bruno Cathala and published by Days of Wonder. Yes, they make more than Ticket to Ride. In this game you are going to try to control areas, collect sets of different types of meeples with different powers to try to have the most control on the board. Will you be successful and be able to be the all-powerful Sultan? Or will you end up being a worthless street rat? Find out as we go to the table and learn how to play 5 Tribes. In a 3 and 4 player game of 5 Tribes, each player takes 8 camels and 1 turn marker of a color of their choice. The extra pink and blue camels and turn markers are not used in this term. In a 2 player game, 1 player takes all 11, 9, 10, 11 of the blue and pink camels, plus the 2 blue and 2 pink marker tokens. All the rest should be returned to the box. Since this is a 2 player game, that is exactly how we're going to set this up. Each player also gets 50 gold coins, 9 coins worth 5 each. Keep these here for now. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. The rest should be kept into the box for easy access. Make sure to give each player 5 of these 1 coins as well. Players should keep the value of their coins face down until the end of the game. Mix all 30 tiles and place them randomly face up to form a rectangle of 5 by 6 tiles, like I have already done. This is the Sultanate. Mix all 90 wooden meeples in a bag, then grab and drop them in random sets of 3 on each tile. And I'll start my Genie magic now. like so. Place the bid order and token order track near the Sultanate. Take the player's turn marker and randomly place them on the bid order track, like so. This will determine in which order the players will initially bid for position on the turn order track. Shuffle all resource cards, and I will not be doing another Genie shuffle. I'll just do a little once over. And that'll be that. To form a draw pile face down. Then draw the top 9 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And lay them face up in a row. Next to the draw pile. Shuffle the Jin's cards, and I will do a little bit of a Genie magic here right now. Like so. And set them face down in a draw pile. Then draw 3 face up Jins from the top of the stack and lay them face up near the draw pile. Take the palaces and palm trees, as well as the rest of the coins, and place them within easy reach, plus the rest of the coins as well within easy reach of all players. I'm going to just put them over here. And that completes the setup. The game can now start. At the start of the game, and the beginning of all new turns, all players must bid for turn order to determine the order in which they will play this turn. The player whose turn marker is on the first position on the bid order track goes first and announces which spot of the turn order track they wish to place their turn marker on. They immediately pay the bank the number of gold coins indicated on the spot on the places their turn order marker there. So let's say for this first one I bid 0, so I'll just place my marker right here, and that'll be that. Everything else you'd have to bid 1 all the way 1, 3, 5, 8, 12, and 18 in order to do that. You would immediately pay to the bank the number of gold coins indicated on the spot and place your turn marker there. The player whose turn marker is next to the bid order track goes next, paying for the spot of their choice, and so on until all markers have been placed on the turn order track, except when bidding 0. Players cannot bid for common or place their turn marker on the same spot as any other turn marker on the turn order track, except for 0. So let's say Jordan also bid 0, so she would push my turn marker back. Then I'll just bid 1 and take my 1 coin, place it in the bank, and then we'll say Jordan bid 3, 1, 2, 3, and it'll look like that. If a player chooses to bid 0, there are already some turn markers on 0, these turn markers are pushed down the aisle of zeros to make room for the new turn markers. So whenever bids last on 0 will be first, the turn marker on zeros to play, and whoever chooses to bid first on 0 will always play last this turn. So I was here, I'd get pushed down here. If we were playing with more players, I could keep getting pushed down here. But I can only get pushed down to here. I can't get pushed off the track. There can never be more than 3 turn markers placed on zeros. So if all 3 zeros are taken, the last player must bid at least 1 and will get to play first this turn. Players take their turn based on the position of their markers on the turn order track, with the highest value marker going first, which would be 3, and so on and so forth. Once their turn comes up, each player takes all of the following actions before letting the next turn marker owner play. So first, you take your turn marker off the turn order track and place it on the first empty spot on the bid order, which would be number 1. If you go first, this means you will also bid first for turn order. And come next turn, in theory, if you bid enough each turn, you might thus be able to play first throughout the entire game. But doing so will cost you, and the gold coins you are bidding are also worth victory points that you won't have at the end of the game. So that might not be the best winning strategy. Select a tile that still has some meeples on it. Take all of the meeples, so we'll go here, and put it in your hand. Then move them onto adjacent tiles, dropping 1 meeple on each tile you pass through until you run out of meeples. There are 3 rules you must respect while moving these meeples. First, you choose the order in which you drop the meeples from your hand as you move from tile to tile, but you must make sure the last meeple you drop goes on a tile that already contains at least 1 meeple of the same color. So, because the last meeple I placed on this tile was red, it also has a red meeple, as you can see, which means that is a perfectly legal move. A little note, during your moves, you can pass through tiles that contain no meeples. So this one would be passing through one. Dropping 1 meeple on each as you pass through, but you can never end your move on an empty tile, since there must always be at least 1 meeple of the same color as your last meeple already on the final tile. So again, 2 reds, we're good. All meeples moves must be done sideways, so from tile to adjacent tile. Never diagonally. So I can't move to here, so I can't take these meeples and place them here. I only can go in straight lines. You can never immediately backtrack onto a tile you just passed through, though you may go on that tile again later during the same move if you have enough meeples to complete a loop. Once you finish moving the meeples, take the last meeple you drop on the final tile back into your hand, along with all other meeples of the same color. So I took these 2 reds that were already on the tile before you moved. You should now have at least 2 meeples of an identical color in your hand. The one you dropped last at least 1 meeple of the same color that was already on the tile before. Otherwise, you didn't follow the last meeple same color rule, so try again. If removing the meeples of this color from that tile empties it off all of its meeples, you immediately take control of the tile. So if this would have cleared off the tile, I get to control this tile because these meeples were gone. However, because it's kind of early in a game, that just stays and it's still an open tile. Place one of your camels onto it to mark your ownership at the end of the game. You will score victory points associated with each tile. So let's say for this tile, I'm just going to use this as an example. Let's say I cleared this off without using those meeples. I would then take one of my camels and I would place it on that tile to indicate that I control it. And then at the end, I would gain about 6 points. But because I didn't get that through clearing the tile, I need to clear it using meeple abilities. Note, during your moves, you can pass through tiles already controlled by other players or yourself, dropping 1 meeple on each as you pass through. if as part of these moves you end up finishing your move on the emptying a tile already under the control of a player from all of its meeples, again, the control of that tile doesn't change. It remains under the control of the previous owner. Once a player's camel sits on a tile, that tile will never change ownership. So if I control the tile, that'd be that. Now do the actions of the tribe meeples that you hold in your hand belong to. You perform these actions regardless of whether you took control of the final tile or not. For yellow vizier tribes, you place the yellow meeples you just collected in front of you. These will be worth some victory points at the end of the game. For the white elders, place all the white elder meeples in front of you. If you have some left at the game's end, they will score you victory points. You may also spend some of these elders instead during the game to gain Djinns and or invoke their power. Put these green merchants immediately back in the bag and take the matching number of resource cards from that line face up, starting at the beginning of the line. Do not replace any resource cards you took yet. So I took 3, so that's 3 cards. Put these blue meeples immediately back in the bag when you get them, of course. And immediately gain as many gold coins as follows. Count the surrounding number of blue valued tiles, including the tile you ended your turn on. Multiply this number by the number of blue meeples you just dropped back in the bag. Okay, so we multiply them by 2. The surrounding blue tiles, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times 2, 8. You can discard as many faker cards from your hand as you wish to increment the multiplier factor by 1 for each faker discarded. Put these red meeples immediately back in the bag and kill one other meeple. So remove it immediately and place it back in the bag. This meeple could either be one meeple of the color of your choice, located on a tile no farther away from the tile than 1 tile per assassin you just dropped in the bag. So technically I could have gone 2. So I could actually pick, instead of this white meeple, I could pick this blue meeple. Always counting sideways, never diagonally for distance purposes. Or 1 yellow or 1 white meeple currently held by one of your opponents in front of them. Remember, the yellow and white meeples will give bonus points at the end of the game. So killing those off would really help your final score. A bonus. You can discard as many faker cards from your hand as you wish to increase the range of your assassins. 1 or more tile in distance for each faker. A little important thing to remember though, if as a result of your assassin's action you empty a new tile of all its meeples, you immediately gain control of that tile. Place one of your camels on it. So let's say instead I had removed all these meeples and I decide to kill off this other assassin. I can then claim it as my own with one of my cam meeples. It may sometimes be possible to take control of 2 tiles in the same turn. Of the first tile, when you end your move on a tile that only had assassins left on it, and the second will be when performing the action of your assassins, killing all meeples on the tile with a single meeple within reach of your assassins. If you happen to run out of camels while taking control of 2 tiles this way, you cannot take control of the tile you assassinated some meeples in. You cannot choose which of the 2 towers you take control of. You must take control of the tile you ended your move on. Once your meeple tribe actions are over, perform the action from your tile your last meeple ended on, regardless of whether you took control of it or not. 1, 2, 3. So the tile I just landed on would be this one. I then get to I get to pay 3 gold to take one of 3 resources cards from the start of the line in the market. If you took control of a second tile this turn using assassins, you do not get to perform the actions of that tile, only those of the tile you ended your move on. Each tile has a small symbol indicating the type of action possible. When the symbol is marked with a red arrow, the tile's action is compulsory. So the oasis, you place one new palm tree on this tile. There are no limits to the number of palm trees that can be on a tile unless you run out, in which case this action is ignored. Then there's the village. You place one new palace on the village. There are no limits to the number of palaces that can be on the tile unless you run out, in which case this action is also ignored. For all other symbols, the tile's actions is not compulsory. You can take this action if you wish, provided you are able and willing to pay its corresponding cost. So this symbol down here is for a small market. You pay three gold and you get to pick one resource card of your choice from among the first 3 visible cards in the market. Do not replace any of the visible cards you took yet. So I can pay some gold. I can take the sandpaper right here. For larger markets, which would be that symbol down there, you may pay 6 gold to pick 2 resources cards of your choice from among the first 6, so all the way to here. So I can take this spice right here, as long as I pay the gold. So for that one, it's 6 gold. And for the other one, it's 3 gold. As always, do not replace any of the resources cards you took yet. Then you can pay, if you can pay either 2 elders or 1 elder plus 1 faker to take a djinn of your choice. Among those visible, place the elders back in the bag. So I can pay 2 elders, place them back in the bag, and then I can take this djinn. Do not replace the djinn card you take yet, but remember to place any meeples you used to pay for that and put them back in the bag. The djinns grant you victory points at the game's end, but can also have very useful special powers. Some powers have a cost to use. In this case, they can only be used once per turn, only during the turn of the player who controls the djinn. You can use the special powers of any djinn you took right away, without waiting. However, if there is a cost, you must be able to pay the cost now. Before wrapping up your actions for this turn, once all your tribe and tile actions are done, you may, if you wish, sell some merchandise before ending your turn. To do so, discard 1 or more suits of merchandise cards, all different from each other, and immediately take from the bank a corresponding number of gold coins. 1, 3, 7, 13, 21, 30, 40, 50, or 60, depending on how many different merchandise cards you hold in that suit. Well, I only have 1, so I can sell my spice for 1 gold. For 1 gold token. I only have 1 of each. So I can actually get 7, because they have to be different suits, not the same suit. Just remember that, folks. Yeah, how many different merchandise cards you hold in a suit. A little note, only sell when you are desperately short on gold coins to bet on your turn. Otherwise, you are usually better off keeping merchandise to try to sell a larger suit later. Even if you do not succeed in accumulating more merchandise cards of other types, you will be able to at least sell all your suits at the same price on your last turn. Once all players have taken turns playing their actions before moving on to the next bid for order phase, the player closest to the piles of djinns and resource cards must replenish the row of resource cards. Shift any resource cards that may still be face up in front of the row and draw new ones to make a total of 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In the unlikely event you run out of resource cards in the draw pile, reshuffle any discards. If there are no cards left, then none can be taken. And then you replenish the row of Djinns by shifting any Djinn cards that may still be face up in front of the row and draw new ones, to make a total of 3 face-up available cards. In the unlikely event you run out of Djinn cards in the draw pile, reshuffle any discards. Now you are ready to all move to the next turn and start bidding for turn order. The game stops at the end of the turn during which either of these two actions occur. Number 1. The player takes control of the tile, placing their last camel, and finishes their actions as normal. The game ends once all players have had a chance to take their actions for this turn. To the game then ends. The final scores are computed. Or, number 2, the player and all players after them can no longer make legal moves. They may still be able and want to take some actions, ergo invoke the special powers of some Djinns they own, and can do so before passing to the next player. Once all players have played the actions they still take or pass, their turn finishes. The game ends and scores are computed. A little note: correctly betting on your last turn can thus be crucial. Imprudent players may bid some gold coins but still find themselves unable to make any moves when their turn comes to play, depending on what others did, and thus wasting some of their valuable victory points. So once you do your scoring, you use the enclosed score sheet that is with all your games to compute each player's score. The player with the most victory points wins the game and becomes the Great Sultan. In the unlikely event 2 or more players are tied, they will have to learn how to share power as sultans or play again. That's all you need to know to play 5 Tribes. If you have any questions about this game, please put them in the comments below and I'll get to them as soon as I possibly can. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to be notified for videos just like this. And if you're feeling in a charitable mood, consider donating to the Asperger's Shop. Jordan and I are very passionate about this because both of us have Asperger's. This helps people to kind of figure out how to deal with their Asperger's or their mental health issues by doing alternatives to exercise, medication through exercises and other brain activities. It'll really help. All you need to do is just click on the link down in the description below. You can help by donating or just spread the word. That can help very much too. Be on the lookout for our upcoming gameplay video on 5 Tribes, but until then, thanks for the views.